All right, so I want to say thank you guys for coming. So this is it's basically a replay of a conference that I did with Rena Jensen called Confidently You 2018. And we did it in October of 2018. And the idea was that it was the courage and motivation to keep going to finish out your year strong. Give you something that you can systematically plug into your life, into your business, that's going to help you to build confidence and to create momentum with your confidence. And so wherever you're at right now, this is your starting point. And I think that's a really exciting thing, that you only get to go up from here. So I want to let you know that when you're working on your confidence, it gets uncomfortable. You're probably going to have to do something that's outside of your comfort zone. Something that my business coach has said to me many, many times, and a lot of other people too. In order to be somebody you've never been, you're going to have to do something you've never done. My name is Kendra Aris, and I'm a beauty artist. I'm an aligned leader, and I'm a game changer. And what that means is that I use my love and skills in the beauty industry to help lead my community and my team and people that are involved in my company, as well as people outside my company. And as a game changer is one of those things that what I really want in life is that when you meet me, I do or say something or inspire you in some way that changes the game for you. Give you a little glimpse as into who I am. So this is a brief picture of who I am and what I'm about. In the top picture, that's not my face, but that sure is the other side of me. That is me as a baby and my dad. And you may be saying, wow, your dad is a baby in this picture, and you would not be wrong. He was 18 years old when I was born. My mother was 16. And while I believe my parents did the best that they could to be great parents, starting off as parents at 16 and 18 years old is really not an ideal way to begin anybody's life. And so to say that life was rough for me as a child was kind of an understatement. The number 96, I think it's accurate. To be honest with you, I haven't recounted in a while, but that's the number of cousins that I have. And I will say that all but like 4 of them live right here in Iowa. My dad looks like Mark Wahlberg, Aaron says. That's hilarious. The photo on the right side on the top row there is my nieces and nephews and my stepdaughters. Well, my nieces, my nephew, and my stepdaughters. And this is a big part of my why. I absolutely live for spending time with these small people and influencing and impacting their lives. And this was this past Christmas in this picture, and I made them all wear matching pajamas with my name on it that say Aunt Kendra likes to party, because I do. In the bottom right picture is my husband and I. We got married on Leap Day in 2016 in Vegas by Elvis. Elvis is not pictured in this photo. And then here on the bottom picture is me as a makeup artist, and you can see me in my But Did You Die shirt with the hashtag Do The Thing. And this is something I took on in 2018, was really working hard to empower and inspire people, and in the process, empower and inspire myself. And the impact of all of 2018 has been so great that I really cannot wait to increase that momentum. So this workshop was part of Confidently You 2018. We are working currently on our next You conference. They all have the word You in them. The first one was called Authentically You, and we had Confidently You. And our next one, which will be in March of this year, is called Intentionally You. So this was part of the workshop of that conference. So this is my understanding and how I want to show you a systematic way to create confidence in your life. It starts with vision, and then it moves to action. Vision creates action. Action inspires success, and success clarifies your vision. If you don't have a notebook, you might want one, but I do have some things I can send to you after this is over that you can download. I'll have that link available. But I want you to think about that. With a clear vision, you can create action. With action, you can create success. And with success, you can inspire a greater vision. it all continues to revolve around itself. And if you don't start with a vision, and it doesn't have to be, the one thing I want you to know is that vision evolves. So it doesn't have to be the end of your vision. You're not going to define your vision today and that's going to be it forever. It will evolve over time. But without establishing a clear vision, you will often be sitting in inaction. And I think, you could show of hands in the comments here today how many people sit in analysis paralysis, not knowing which step to take next or how to take the next step. So that's what I really want to inspire today, is how to take what these thoughts are in your head and all these things that you want to do and create a clear vision. So starting with vision, I want you to think about who you are. And what's important to you. I showed you those pictures at the beginning, and that tells you a lot about who I am and what's important to me and how I describe myself to others. So I would encourage you on a piece of paper right now, or you could do this later and watch this on a replay. Define who you are and how do you describe yourself to others. I want you to think about maybe 3 words that you would use to describe yourself to a stranger. That if a stranger walked in the room right now and said, tell me 3 things about you, what 3 things would you write down? And then after you're done thinking about that, and if you want to, you're welcome to share anything in the comments. I'll certainly keep an eye on them and answer any questions along the way. But after you've written those 3 words down about yourself, think about 3 words that same stranger would use to describe you. Somebody walked in the room, you're at a networking event or you're at a party, or maybe you're just getting coffee somewhere and somebody comes up to you, how would they describe you after interacting with you for a very short period of time? So as you're writing those things down and thinking about those things that define who you are, then give some thought to how do you wish people perceived you? Sometimes who we are in person doesn't always align with who we wish we were. And I think it's really important to write down a few words that you wish people perceived you as. I'll tell you that beauty artist, aligned leader, and game changer was the start of this for me. Those are my 3 words. The 3 words that I'm like, when I walk in a room, I want people to associate those kinds of words with me. And am I doing things and am I presenting myself in a way that resonates in that way with strangers? And when I first started this process, I can tell you very clearly that the answer was no. And that's okay if that's the same for you. So the next question is, do they align? When you're asking yourself, how do you perceive yourself? How do others perceive you? And how do you wish people perceived you? Do you have the same words that are describing each facet of you? If you are writing those down, do the same 3 words, do you use the same 3 words to describe yourself that somebody else would? And does the person you wish you were, are those 3 words the same? Does that make sense? Chances are, if you're working on confidence, and by the way, we should all always be working on confidence, chances are they don't align. And a lot of things can get in the way. Ego can get in the way, self-doubt can get in the way, fear in many ways gets in the way. And if they don't align, our goal is to bring those things into alignment. So when you walk in a room, you're confidently being who you want people to know you are, and they feel who you are without you having to tell them. So the next thing that I want you to think about is success. And in order to be successful, we often think about, what do I have to give up in order to accomplish my goals? You're asked all the time to write down a set of goals, and when you're writing down those goals, in order to achieve them, especially if you're going really hard for a goal, you may have to think about what you have to give up in order to accomplish your goals. What do you have to sacrifice in order to accomplish something? And my question to you now is to think about, what does it feel like when you have to give things up to accomplish your goals? You may have to give up time with your kids. You may have to give up time with family or friends. You may have to give up some sleep. There's probably a list a mile long. And the idea of giving those things up feels defeating, I think. And then I would like you to ask yourself, how are you dealing with these feelings? How are you dealing with the thoughts of giving up time with your kids, time with your spouse, time with friends? How are you giving up the idea of sleep, or, you know, having to get up earlier or staying up later, or financial sacrifices that you may have to give up in order to be successful? It can be really hard to deal with things when you are feeling like you have to give things up. Where is my next slide? Oh, please don't do this. Maybe. No? Okay, pause. Let's try it again. Aha, here we go. So this is something my friend Rena says. She planned confidently with me. She says this all the time, and she says, in order to deal with those feelings, you have to feel the feels, deal with the deals, and plan the plans. And I love that because it's really important to remember that the feelings are going to happen. The getting in your head is going to happen. The feelings of not being enough are going to happen. And if you stay stuck in the feelings and not start dealing with them, then you're just going to stay stuck in your feelings. And that doesn't move you towards success. So dealing with the deals means either, you know, dealing with it and getting over it, or figuring out how to make a different feeling happen, and then making plans to find success. So what I want you to think about is it really sacrifice? If you're saying all of the time, what do I have to give up in order to be successful? Can we change that vernacular a little bit? Can we flip that upside down and change the mindset just a little bit? So what if instead of sacrificing time with your friends, instead of sacrificing sleep, or instead of sacrificing something that you have to give up, what if we could change the conversation in our heads to how do we make room for something? How do we make room for something else in our life to find success? How do we make room for time to make our follow-up calls? And really what I'm talking about here is figuring out ways to be systematic about your work. What we're all guilty of, and what the problem I keep finding in my business and with for myself and with people that I associate with and that are working with me in my direct sales businesses, is that they are waking up every day and chasing their tail. There's no plans in place. There's no systems in place. It's just a constant rat race of chasing things and sacrifice. And that is making for a very, very hostile work environment. You wake up every day and you're like, I just don't know what to do next. And it's not fair. Can anybody relate? You guys are very quiet. So let's work on transforming sacrifice. What does it feel like to say, and instead of saying, I need to sacrifice something, what does it look like to take that sacrifice, X it out with a big red pen, and make room for something else? What does that look like? What does it feel like? If you say, I need to make room for my follow-up calls. I need to make room for exercise. I need to make room for time with my family. I need to make room for training, getting my training in with my company, or I need to make room for sales calls, whatever that is. It doesn't feel so icky, right? It doesn't feel like so much sacrifice. It doesn't feel like you're giving something up. It feels like you're adding something to your life. And when you do that, you get that mindset shift. By the way, who loves my fireworks just now? Worked really hard on those. You get a mindset shift that will start to create confidence. When you talk about giving up time with your kids, it sounds like you're a bad mother. When you talk about giving up time with your friends, it sounds like you're a bad friend and all you care about is work. But when you start making room for things, and you work at it's like Marie Kondoing your brain, making room instead of sacrifice. So we're going to work on 3 things here to get to some vision, besides this mindset shift of telling yourself you have to give something up in order to be successful. So that's the first mindset that I want you to get rid of. The next is you're going to set an intention, define your why, and manage your expectations. And I want you to know that all 3 of these steps are important equally. You can't do part of it without the rest. Okay, you got to do all the work. So set your intention, maybe for the year. Maybe you're gonna, I said for the year, but maybe you need to set an intention for the day, for the week, for the month. I'm constantly setting intentions. Intentions are different than goals, in my opinion. Goals, they can be very similar, but intention seeks clarity for your future. Setting intentions are ways of writing things in future tense. I'm going to be an aligned leader, and I'm setting an intention to be a game changer for you today. And when I set that intention, it can be very powerful. I'll tell you when the light bulb went off for me about intention, it changed my life. And that was when I was getting ready to host. This was a couple of years ago. I was hosting a team training at my home. And I invited a bunch of my team to come to my home to do this training. I made all these plans. I planned the plans. And one person was going to come, just one. And I was a little upset about that. But life is life, and it's fine. And so, but the thing that I was mostly upset about was this one person that was going to come hadn't been working her business in forever. And I knew she wasn't going to work her business. And I was annoyed that I still had to go through with this training with somebody that life does get in the way of many intentions. And the thing about life is it keeps happening. I mean, the word pivot has also become really important in my life here. Thanks for that comment, Cheryl. So she's coming, I'm annoyed, and that morning I sat down to do my morning meditation. I subscribed to the Miracle Morning teaching practices, and I would encourage you to do the same. But so I'm doing my morning meditation, and I do guided meditation. And in this particular meditation, which I've now listened to many times, well, now I don't listen to it anymore, I just do it myself. But at the time that wasn't possible. They had us meditate on a word, and they asked us to pick a word of how we wanted to leave people that day. And all I thought was, man, right now I was focused on annoyance. I'm focused on annoyance, and if I'm focused on being annoyed, that's how I'm going to leave this woman for the day. And is that how I want her to walk away from her interaction with me? And the answer is resounding no. That's not how I want someone to walk away from an interaction with me. And I changed it to empower. I just wanted to empower her to know that she could do whatever it was she set herself out to do. And we ended up having a fantastic day. Now, I'll tell you, spoiler alert, I was right. She never really did work her business that day after that. And she's no longer in the company. However, she could have left that day thinking that I was a horrible leader. And she left that day instead with a friend. And I'm really proud of that I didn't allow that annoyance. So setting an intention is, I'm going to be empowering for this person, for the people, how you want people to interact with you and what you want to accomplish. Kind of like, I'm going to be this kind of a leader. I'm going to be an aligned leader. I'm going to be a game changer. So when you're talking about intentions, think about who you want to be and write it down. Do you want to be some sort of a leader, or do you want a certain title, or do you want to be considered an expert at something? Who do you want to be? What kind of expert, what kind of role do you want to see yourself in? And who does that make you? What do you want your interactions with others to look like? I kind of just went over that. And what do I need to learn So this is big. In order to be, when you're talking about your intention, you can say, I want to be an aligned leader. So what do I need to learn? You know what I had to learn? I had to learn abundance. Abundance was getting in my way left and right. And I had to learn it. And how am I being of service to other people? When you're setting intentions and as you're starting to create vision, you're going to learn very quickly that when you make it about you, you're the only one that matters. And if you're in the business of selling anything, confidence included, you're not going to sell it if you're not being of service to other people and it's just about you. And how do you feel in your intention? I think it's really important to write down how you feel, because that's when confidence can be tapped into early. It's not fake it until you make it. It's not about faking anything. It's about tapping into that feeling of who you want to be before you even get there. And that's much different than fraud. Fraud, that feeling, that fraudulent feeling that comes with that fake it till you make it, feels icky to me. And then, ask yourself, is what I'm intending to do now, are my intentions meaningful now, and are they meaningful in the future? Sometimes we set intentions that have too much of a short window, a short-term goal, something that gets us through until tomorrow. When you're focused on something that gets you through to tomorrow, and I'm going to give you a good example of that, then you're going to constantly chase tomorrow. So if you're focused, if your intention is to sell X amount of dollars, then you're always going to be working on selling X amount of dollars in your business. Who do you feel in your intention? That's all about feeling that leadership role. Who do you feel in your intent? Like when you're setting your intention, who are you? And how does that person feel? Probably confident, probably like a leader, probably an expert, probably things like that. Who are you being? And then also thinking about how does that, when you're thinking of a who, that's a very broad feeling. Great question, Cheryl, by the way. It's broad because a person has a lot of facets to them. So who do you feel in your intention also speaks to how do you interact with people. When you're, being an aligned leader was one of my big intentions and something I really want to live up to all of the time. And that means when I close the door and it's just me and my closest friends, am I still being that leader? Yes, it's definitely not how. I didn't make a typo there, but I do appreciate if I do have a typo, you let me know. But it's definitely not how, it's who. It's who are you in your intention. So I go behind a closed door and with my best friends, am I still standing up in that leadership, or am I turning into a gossip queen? There's a difference when you're setting intentions. Are you like, can somebody pick up my phone and go through all of these notifications and messages that are popping up constantly on there in the last 20 minutes since we've been doing this? Could somebody pick this up and read through all of those and post them publicly online? I think about that a lot. And I can confidently say now, mostly yes. Occasionally I get into my feels on that. And anyway, I'm not sure what you mean by it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You could tell me what you mean. Oh, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, fun. That is fun. I like stuff like that. So also to give yourself space to evolve is probably the number one important thing I want to talk to you about: setting intentions, setting goals, starting to become who you want to be, setting a vision, getting successful, all of that. You have got to allow yourself to be a beginner. And that is the number one lesson that I learned in 2018, was that it doesn't matter what you've been in the past, who you've been in the past. And I think a lot about exercise and getting in shape and losing weight and things like that. We often say, oh, well, I used to be 120 pounds and ran 7-minute miles and did all of these things. But if that's not who you are right now, it may be who you want to be someday, but you've got to allow yourself space to evolve. It's okay to be a beginner. And if you don't let people see your evolution as a leader, they won't have trust in you. You've got to let yourself start where you start and let them see you grow. Let your audience, your network see you grow. It's probably the most important part of all of this. You can't wake up tomorrow and be perfect. And if you were, no one would trust you because they would think you were a fraud anyway. It's just a bad revolving door. So we talked about setting intentions, and now I want to talk about why. And I'm going to move this over here, turn this up. I think this gets kind of loud. It does. I love Simon Sinek, and that was one of the things that certainly changed the trajectory of my business was working with my why. And if you've not read Find Your Why and Start with Why, I highly recommend it. And that this comes to a point of some tough love I'm going to give you right now. You've got to do the work, and the work doesn't always look like sales. The work doesn't always look like customer interaction and selling something to somebody. The work's going to look like working on you and working on what is important to you and getting out of your own head. And if you can't commit to doing that work, you're not going to find success. Period and end of story. So I would encourage you to start doing the work that starts in your head and your heart, and get really right with yourself. Because in order to find confidence, you've got to love the person that you're living inside of. Your soul is living inside of this vessel that you've got to fall in love with. And I mean, I could go on forever. So when we're talking, I'm going to just very briefly talk about a why, but I'm going to tell you, in order to really get in tune with your why, you're going to have to do some really hard work, or not even hard work, but you're going to have to get some training, because we'd be here all day if I had to walk you through your training. And as you're starting to develop, and for the record, it could take you a while to figure this out. It's not easy. And you may be spinning your wheels for a while just trying to figure out what it is that is going to motivate you. But a few things that your why is not is goals, sales, income. Your goal is not tangible. Your why is not tangible. It's not something you can really, really touch. Your why is impactful. Your why is, it's bigger than you, and it usually involves other people. But it's not only other people, and that should say your why is not only other people. One mistake that I see especially women make left and right, and you're going to have to take this like with a deep breath, because a lot of people don't want to hear this, but your why can't be your kids. It can't be to make a better life for your children. That can be part of it. But those kids are going to grow up and move on and do things with their life that's going to have nothing to do with you. A why has no end. It's a legacy. It's something that continues on. And your why is not why you started. It's not because you're broke. It's not because you needed money. It's not because, all the reasons you may starting out, figuring out why you're starting a business. A why is much, much deeper than that. And I'm going to have to, let me see if there it is. Oh, I figured out how to move it, but now it won't do it. Okay, so your why is your legacy. It's what you want people to remember you for. This is the earth-shattering, earth-changing stuff that your why gets to become. My why is showing people that where they started does not determine where they grow. Being the example. Where you started doesn't determine where you grow. I say it all the time. I really want to show people that they can be and do anything they want with their life starting today. Your why is ever evolving. It's going to change. It's going to look different. My why started off with helping a few people, and now my vision is bigger into sharing it with thousands of people and impacting thousands of people and leading people through this charge. And I can't wait to see what it will be next year. And it's your why is going to keep you going. It's why you keep going. It's why giving up isn't an option. It's got to be so big and so bold and so amazing that you couldn't dare to stop, because it would devastate the whole world. And you can be that impactful. So we talked a little bit about why, intentions and why, and now we have to talk about the most important, well, they're all equally important, as I said, but you've got to manage your expectations. So this is the thing I see people do. They set visions, they set goals, they set intentions, they get their why, and then they expect to wake up tomorrow and have everything be 180 degrees on its back, and all of a sudden life is just going to run smoothly. But you didn't get where you are right now to only get this far, first of all, and you didn't get there by doing things the same all the time. In order to change your confidence, you have to change your habits. And those habits change one at a time. This is why like New Year's resolutions and things can be really harmful and aren't very helpful to some people. I mean, I love New Year's resolutions, I'll tell you, but people think they're going to wake up on January 1st and be a whole different version of themselves. They're going to get organized. They're going to work out. They're going to start eating better. All of these things are going to happen and they have no plans in place. But can you change one habit at a time? Can you start by changing one thing? And you can. It's important. So notice, change happens one habit at a time. One. No, really one. I think that's important. You've got to learn to habit stack. You've got to learn to say, okay, this week I'm going to focus on drinking more water because I'm tired of being dehydrated. Or I'm going to get up 5 minutes earlier. Instead, we say, I'm going to start getting up at 4 a.m. and working out for 2 hours every day. Right? That's what we tell ourselves we're going to do. But we don't do it because it's hard. But what if you said, I'm going to get up 5 minutes earlier tomorrow, drink a glass of water, and drink a cup of coffee before my kids get up? What if you started that simply? Could that momentum gain and do bigger things for you down the road? You absolutely know it can, but we think that we're going to be perfect. You will not. You will absolutely fail. I can't see what that thing says right there. Hold on one second. Need to move that. This needs to move over. Let's see. Let me get back there. Yeah, you cannot change the world in a day. That's for sure. You will absolutely fail. Failure is success every single time. And here's why. So nobody looks back as a successful person and says, I really wish I never would have screwed up. Because there is so many lessons in every failure, and you have to be willing to learn those lessons. You have to be willing to tap into them. And it doesn't mean you set yourself up to fail. I mean, you don't step onto the ice when you see it there on purpose. Clearly, failure kind of comes up behind and gets you, but you've got to. It is success every single time. No, really, really, it is. And there's something that I want to make really clear. We often think about that, well, this is just how I am. I'm just a little lazy, or I'm a little sloppy, or I'm not good at sales, or I'm not very good at blank, whatever it was. Well, as long as you keep telling yourself that, it's going to be completely true. Lady Gaga was wrong, you guys. You were not born this way. You can change, but you can't 180 yourself tomorrow. And you've got to get over that thinking. It's we're all grown-ups now. It's time to be done thinking that way, period. And the way that you are is not an excuse. I'll give you another example using myself. I would say that one of my biggest failures in my business thus far has been not being able to manage ego. And ego hasn't necessarily been that, like, I think I'm better than other people, but I have often thought that I didn't need help, that I wouldn't need people to assist me or help me, or all those kinds of things that egotistical people kind of get. And I would use that as an excuse, like that I just had to figure it out my own way. And it's never served me. If you ever subscribe to any of the color personalities, I've often found that color personalities are a really great way for people to, or any personality quizzes or tests or whatever that say you're X kind of personality, it becomes an excuse to be a certain way. Oh, I'm a red personality, so I'm kind of an asshole. I'm a blue personality, so all I really care about is like having a good time. So I can't do numbers. I'm a green personality, so I have too many questions to ask. However, those things are, and then you use that as an excuse to be the way that you are. It instead should be a way to empower you to learn how to incorporate other things into your life to do better and to be better, because you already know the things that you need to do to make changes in your life. You already know them. So let's say hello to the future you. I want to show you.
My hero. That's who I chase. When I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come to me and say, "Who's your hero?" And I said, "I'm not going to think about it. Give me a couple of weeks." I come back 2 weeks later, this person comes up and says, "Who's your hero?" I said, "I thought about it. You know who it is?" I said, "It's me in 10 years." So I turned 25. 10 years later, that same person comes to me and goes, "So are you a hero?" And I was like, "Not even close." No. She said, "Why?" I said, "Because my hero is me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never going to be the hero. I'm not going to attain that. I know I'm not. That's just fine with me because that keeps me to somebody to keep on chasing. Life's not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now. And it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them. Where you are not is as important as where you are. But the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, "I know who I am. I know who I am." That's not the first step. The first step's usually, "I know who I am not." Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You got a group of friends that you hang out with that really might not bring out the best in you. You know, they gossip too much or kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst thing on? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. Or how about that food that we keep eating, that tastes so good going down, makes us feel like crap the next week, we feel lethargic, we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, you quit going there, you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. And trust me, too many options, I promise you, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. Right? So get rid of the excess, wasted time, decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important. A process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. Give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first. You're going to find yourself where you need to be.
That when I first heard that, I was really overwhelmed, because there's a lot of places that I put myself in, and I think you guys can probably relate to this, where we're putting time and energy into things that just aren't serving us. And it's important to remember, the more you make room, or eliminate the things that don't serve you, the more you have room for the things that will. And confidence really comes in making room for the things that matter. I think the other really important thing to note in all of this is that happiness, confidence is not a destination. That you don't get there and hold it in your hand and say, "Okay, here, I did it. I have it now." It becomes in really enjoying the process and each step of the way. It means that when you look back, you learn your lessons, and it's not always easy to be happy in the journey, especially when times are tough. But times aren't always going to be tough, especially if you can take your energy and plug it into the right places. I always say that energy is currency. It's currency because you spend it. And when you're spending it on the wrong things, it creates misery. I have one more really funny little video clip to show you. And I want you to think about the idea of things that you're holding on to that maybe aren't good for you. Like maybe something like this.
I will name him George, and I will hug him and pet him and squeeze him. I'm not the boy. I pat him and pet him and you're hurting me. Caress him and
How long can I play that video before people don't get it anymore? But we all are holding on to things, whether it's mindsets or things that when we're talking about being successful that aren't serving us. Sometimes those things are internal. Sometimes it's having to be in control. I know that was a big one for me. Having to, not being able to delegate anything, having to constantly be in control. Things that are inside of us that are stifling our growth. I often talk about the things that keep us small, being stuck in the rat race and in that hamster wheel that keeps us small. The idea of perfection. I've been repeating a lot lately that you've never been perfect at anything. You've never been perfect at a single thing in your life. Yet you think when it comes to your business that it's so black and white, that it's either all or nothing. You're perfect or you're a loser. And it is so far from the truth. And in reality, you wouldn't allow your daughter or your son or your best friend, or probably not even a stranger, think that way. Yet you hold yourself to that level of accountability. And when we hold on to things that aren't serving us, we fall into this analysis paralysis. There's no movement forward. We don't know how to start. We don't know. The number one thing that I hear over and over and over again is, what's the best way? What's the best way to start a recruiting conversation? What's the best way to start talking to somebody about a sale? What's the best way to talk about this product or that service or whatever? And because we can't identify the best way, which P.S. there isn't one, you have a good way and I have a good way. And the only way you find it is by trying and probably failing and then trying something different and going off of the things that work instead of the things that don't. And then, the idea of unreasonable expectations. I see people setting goals all the time in my team. I'll encourage people, set a goal for the week. How many new customers are you going to get? And, or how many referrals can you receive this week? And people will sometimes come in with really small numbers, but what's almost worse is when they come in with giant numbers. Oh, I'm going to sell $100,000 this month. Well, have you ever done that before? What system do you have in place for that? And we're holding on to these unreasonable expectations, so therefore we do nothing. Isn't that funny? We can be this big goal getter and set this giant expectation, but because we didn't put anything into place to get there, we do nothing at all. That black and white thinking is so, so harmful. And this is in my way again, and I can't see my notes. So I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys can see my chat window, but I don't really know how to get it in a smaller place. So I had to move it. Anyway, forgive my lack of technology understanding. Anxiety is also something we hold on to. And, anxiety is a real tricky thing because a lot of people suffer from real anxiety, but a lot of the anxiety that we place on ourselves is just keeping us small, and we hold on to it because it keeps us in our comfort zone, keeps us really safe and cozy and warm. But sometimes our Georges, the things that we're holding on to, are external. They could be our children, our family, our relationships. So I can't because I have all of these things going on. And there's certainly a difference between having things going on and using it as an excuse and holding on to it to keep you small. And it really just takes a good look in the mirror. You've got to sit down and be honest with yourself and say, is this really holding me back, or is it me holding me back? Material items, wealth, things like that, things that we think we have to have. It comes into like not being able to give things up in order to be successful, or social status and image. And especially with business owners in direct sales. I know a lot of you that are watching this are in direct sales, and we think, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm one of those people, you know, putting other people's expectations on us. Those ideal that it's not good. And you've got to get confident in that. So we're going to work on that right now. How often do you say, when I blank, then I will be happy? What is in your blank? I got to move this again because I can't see it. What is in your blank? When I lose 20 pounds, when I learn every single detail of the product that I sell. Oh, this isn't working again. Let me try it again. When I get 10 blog posts written. Oh, come on. You're not gonna, what's in your blank? When I lose the toxic people. There will always be toxic people. But I'm going to tell you something that my business coach told me. I asked him, I'm going to just put this up here. I asked him, why don't I have issues with people the same way? Because there's a lot of drama that goes on in direct sales. And I said, I just don't. And he said, because you don't hold space for it. When you hold space and energy for things that make you unhappy, they will continue to be there. When you don't hold space for those things, they'll go away. And it's about time that we all started finding space or losing space for the things that make us unhappy. And the point in all of this is people are not happy because they're successful. They're successful because they are happy. That I did not believe. I thought that was complete crap. I always said, when I have this much money, then I will be happy. And when I lose 20 pounds and when I blah, 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 lots of other things. You've got to learn to be happy with what you have before you can be happy with what you want. And I sincerely apologize for all of this nonsense, but I'm having a hard time with technology right now. So finding joy in now means that you work on your attitude of gratitude, finding the things that you can be grateful for and happy for today. We don't spend enough time. We do not spend enough time writing down, talking about, being aware of the things that we are grateful for. And it's a shame because there's a documentary right now on Netflix, and I apologize, I can't remember what it is, but it's this photographer that goes to these third world countries, and I mean, just impoverished nations. Wow. Like, I was so ill at what was happening. And I thought, what? Like, the people in these places didn't even know we have the things that, like, come close to knowing the things that we have. And the idea of writing down the things you're grateful for will help you find joy in now, because we often get in a woe is me place. Like, oh, everybody else has it better than me. I'm just a loser, or I'm depressed. I don't have as much as everybody else. And so I can't be happy. Oh, did you see that, Angie? It was just, I had my kids watch it, for the obvious reasons. The Appreciate What You Have tour, if you will. And I couldn't continue to watch it after they went to bed. I told my husband, I said, I can't watch it anymore. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. I don't know. It's probably still there, but you would really enjoy it from the photographer's standpoint. I mean, this is what and he takes the most beautiful pictures. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember what my point was on awareness in this moment. So my apologies, but probably in just, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess. The word awareness is not coming to me on what my note on that was. But impact is. So when you are happy in the moment, when you're finding things to be grateful for, and you share your happiness, the impact that you have on others is so great. The impact in your home, think about this. If you were a little happier, mom, I know we have mostly women on here. If you're a little bit happier, what would the climate of your home be like? How could it change? And it starts right there in your house. That practice with your house, with your spouse, with then in your backyard, in your community, and let it grow from there. When you can find joy in now, the impact is everything. You're right, Erin, it is everything. That ripple effect will make a difference. And then that gives so much more back to you. If you knew me 5 years ago, you would be shocked right now to be hearing this come out of my mouth. So that all sparks vision. That's all the feely happy things. That's not the stuff I'm good at, I'm going to admit. I want to talk about action now. So if you can tap into vision, your why, your vision, your intentions, your expectations, and you can start to create. Now, let me tell you, as I said, it's going to evolve. You got to let it start right now. You got to let it start as a little baby. I repeat this a lot too. You know how when things are small and cute? Let me show you something small and cute. Oh, shoot. I have the smallest, cutest thing right here. This tiny little coffee cup with a tiny little lip gloss in it. When things are small and cute, we go, oh, look, it's so small and cute. Your vision gets to start like this. It gets to be the cute little baby. It gets to be small and cute. Just like our children, they start off small and cute. And they become big, ugly teenagers. And guess what? We still love them because we remember how they were small and cute. Your vision's not going to get big and ugly. But my point is that let it start small, because when you can start to tap into your intention and like thinking about the ripple effect and the impact you're going to have on the world and the people around you and in your backyard and all these things that kind of will start to manifest and work its way in your brain, then you can start working on action. And action is the key, because you can't just sit here in your vision forever. You've got to move forward. So we're going to talk about the art of moving forward. And it starts really, really simple with a notebook. I don't need that note. And a pen. We think that action needs to be doing something big and important. We think that action needs to be a live video on our social media, or it needs to be a big event, or it needs to be something powerful, something important, something professional, something that makes us look so much bigger than we are. But actually, simplest of actions is required for momentum to occur. Because when we think about those big things, that's when analysis paralysis happens. So I like to start with the art of the brain dump. Here's the thing, your brain keeps you awake at night, keeps you from doing things, keeps you in analysis paralysis. But do you want to know what can make it slow down, quiet, let you sleep, get your rest, and feel confident? It's taking everything from it that's up here. I need to do this and I need to do that, and I want to think about doing this, and someday I'm going to do that, and I need to organize this, and I need to get the kids' lunches ready, and so-and-so has basketball practice, and my husband has this going on, and we have a party next week, and we have all these things, and you've got to write it down, and you've got to get yourself organized in a way that you have, where is it at? Where's the beginning? Oh, it's right here. This is my journal, my planner. You've got to have things written down, because when you can take them out of your head, they stop rattling around in there and making you upset. They stop rattling around in there and making you feel like you have so much to do. Because chances are, if you write it all down and you get it put in a calendar, and I don't mean to do everything like you have to do it like you're some sort of an engineer and you do it with all these fancy tools. You just have to get it out. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it all right now, But if you're not getting the things out of your brain and written down where they need to get written down, your mind gets overwhelmed. Overwhelming thoughts are crippling. So here's the reality of writing things down. We think, oh my God, if I write all this down, that's scary, because then I'm going to have all these things to do. And then I'm not going to be able to keep up with them all. And then I'm going to have to like commit to doing things that I don't want to do. But you know what? Fear is a liar. What's actually going to happen when you write it all down is you're going to have a place to start to get yourself organized and get your thoughts put in order. I had a conversation with a business owner the other day who's thinking about, she's been in business for like 12, 15, 20 years, like a long time. She's thinking about getting a bookkeeper for the first time. I said, what's stopping you? She said, oh God, I don't want to give up the control. Her George was the control. Like, oh, I just think it's just going to take me so much less time to just get it done. And then I spend all day doing my book work, and I don't end up doing the things that I need to do to grow my business. I spend all day doing this stuff that doesn't grow my business, and then I don't have time to grow my business. All because she's afraid to give that control up. We do turn our fears into facts. Our brain does that because your brain's just trying to keep you alive. That's all. But writing things down begins the process of action, because this is action. This is action. Well, let's see if I can do this. Ooh. Did I do it? That's action. Writing something down, writing a to-do list down is action. It starts the process. How many of you do something and then put it on a list just so you can cross it out? Feels good, doesn't it? Even though you didn't write it down first. All right, I want to teach you a couple of things. I do it. I love it. I think it's the best thing ever. I want to teach you about daily anchors. So daily anchors are things that you do every day. And I know there's a typo up here. It says, what are you making important right now? I have these documents that I will put into a Google Drive for you guys, and I will make sure you have available afterwards, that you can print these out and work on these yourself. So daily anchors are something that you do every day that keeps you anchored. An anchor is either something that keeps you grounded, or it's something that holds you down. Do you understand that those two things can be very different? So think about what are the daily anchors that you have in your life that may be keeping you down. Late night Netflixing, keeping you up late, can't get up in the morning, you're tired all the time. Your phone, your relationship with alcohol, work, your kids' schedules. And then write down the things that you desire to be important in your life. So your health, maybe your relationship with your spouse, meditation and yoga. What I want you to know is that it's okay to take a realistic picture of what's going on in your life and not judge yourself. You may spend some time here today or in the next few days thinking about the daily anchors that are holding you down, keeping you small. It doesn't mean that you need to be focused 100% on all of your goals and your intentions 100% of the time. But I'm willing to bet there are things that you need to stop letting be an anchor in your life. When you're thinking about daily anchors that are going to keep you grounded, which is the next thing we're going to work on, I want you to think about filling your bucket. Every single one of you need to take care of yourself first and foremost. And when you're not taking care of you, you cannot take care of other people. Procrastination is huge. Angie, I want to tell you, I tell people all the time, they don't believe me, but I tell them all the time, I'm the master of procrastination. I'm the busiest procrastinator you've ever seen. Admitting that what you're doing is procrastination versus working on your goals is the first step. Admitting that, you know what, right now I procrastinated doing this webinar for 3 months. I was supposed to do this 3 months ago. And the longer I waited, the more I thought I was a failure for not doing it. And it's been sitting here ready to go for 3 months. But I completely procrastinated it by doing something else instead. Because if you saw my last 3 month schedule, you'd be like, oh my gosh, you were too busy to do that webinar. That's what I told, I'm too busy for it. I'm really too busy to take this hour and a half and do this webinar for these people that I promised I was going to do it for. Think about all of that. Yep, that's what we all do. You're not special. You're just a human being that needs to make a few changes, and you're going to keep doing it. Like, that's the thing. You're going to keep procrastinating. What the thing is that you recognize when you are procrastinating and go take care of something that you are avoiding. So take care of your first. Know that successful people have schedules. Most of you are probably watching this and thinking that you do not want to be a scheduled person. You don't want somebody tying you down. You're going to go where you want to go, when you want to go, and you don't want to have anybody telling you what to do. I understand. But successful people keep a schedule, and they create their schedules starting very simply. Your schedule doesn't have to be big and complicated, but time management is important. And you already know it's important, or you wouldn't be here. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. Perfection is not a thing. I want you to remember that when you're filling your bucket every day. You can't be perfect, so stop trying and stop holding yourself to a standard that you cannot reach. Instead, hold yourself to the standard of being better tomorrow than you were today and better than you were yesterday. Habit stacking applies. This is where, it's important to say, okay, I'm going to drink more water today. I'm going to drink a glass of water in the morning and a glass of water in the afternoon. And by this time next month, I'll have my gallon in every day, or whatever your goal is. It's just not about being perfect. It's about doing a little bit better every day. And the words that we use matter. I talk to women every day in my inbox who are asking me for advice. And the same thing applies every single time. They talk about themselves as if they were trash. They talk about themselves and their habits and what they need to do as if they are horrible people. And they're so terrible, and they're dumb, and they're lazy, and oh, I just need to do this and that. And I know I haven't been showing up, and oh my gosh. And here's the thing. The way you talk about yourself matters. You're talking about yourself in a negative way. Your brain already believes it. I guess I'm just going to leave that at that. Okay, so creating a better anchor, creating a daily anchor that's going to actually ground you and lift you up is going to give you the focus that you need to truly make a difference in your life. So think about one thing that you want to, in order to accomplish my goals, I need this anchor in my life. So this little worksheet goes over what one of those anchors may be, and it may be daily meditation. And I use this as an example because this is one of the things that I avoided for a very long time. So in order to do daily meditation, I need to make room for, I need to sacrifice my sleep. I need to make room for 10 minutes in the morning. I need to ask for support for my husband. Hey, I'm going to start setting the alarm for 10 minutes earlier. Can you help me wake up? I'm also going to meditate every day with a buddy. So I'm going to check in with her, maybe. I can be accountable by checking in daily. I find inspiration from. So when you're talking about your daily anchors, who inspires you to do this better? Who inspires you to be like, wow, that person's doing it. I can do it too. Write that down so it's somebody to think of as you're going. Rachel Hollis was another one that I came up with. And let me see if I can read this because the type is really, really small. Let's see if I can blow it up here. And then under here, and I have this worksheet too that you can have. Under no circumstances during the process of implementing this anchor into my life will I exhibit any of the following behaviors: comparison to others, measuring success based on unrealistic timeframes, giving up after one bad day, 1 week, 1 month, or even a year, feelings of unworthiness or other behavior that somehow convinces me that I am not 100% worthy of making positive changes in my life. I understand that change takes time, perseverance, grit, determination, and that I will likely fail before I am successful. and I will be successful. I wish I could get you all, anyone, everyone, and sometimes myself included, to repeat those words over and over and over again. You would expect that of your daughters. You should expect it of yourself. You can't be perfect tomorrow. You just can't. It does take perseverance, determination, and grit. Getting up every day 10 minutes earlier and meditating sounds like a terrible thing for me to do. But now that I do it, it's completely changed my life. Something that I've learned, I've always had people come to me with a leadership question of, how do I motivate people to do something? How do I get people motivated? But motivation has to come from within. Inspiration comes from outside sources. Motivation has to come from within. So as a leader, it's my job to inspire you. I hope you leave here today and you say to yourself, I'm going to work on my confidence slowly every single day, habit stacking and working on my vision and keeping my sight set on my success, because Kendra really inspired me to do that. But the motivation to do that every day has to come from within. And motivation is hardest when the inspiration is gone. Right now, it feels probably very good to go put these things into action because it's in the moment. Real success comes from when it's 10 o'clock or when it's 10 minutes early and you want to get up to do something to make your life better, but it's 50 below zero, legitimately 50 below zero right now out there. Maybe it's like 40 below now. And it's too cold to do so. And you do it anyway. I'm going to be honest, I didn't do mine today, but I will. So the next thing I want to talk to you is the idea of a project and a task. So when we do that brain dump, that I talked about, you dump everything out and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff to do and it's really overwhelming. I like to think of my actions that I need to take in terms of projects and tasks. So a project is an organized list of tasks that are required to accomplish a goal. Tasks are like toddlers. They'll destroy you if you don't keep them in line. Tasks can get chaotic and all over the place. And a project is, the bigger picture. So I like to organize things that way because that way I can, so I'll have a list of things for this project and that project, and I'll keep my tasks underneath there. And then I try to prioritize them as well. A goal without a task is a goal without a plan is just a dream. So we're going to talk about planning the thing. So I always say do the thing. Now I'm going to talk to you about planning the thing. We're going to talk about doing the thing in a minute, actually. But when you're planning something, oh, hold on, I can't see. I keep moving this chat bar, and there's got to be a better way. I'll figure it out. But plan the thing. A lot of times we don't have a plan for anything. We just say, I want to start a blog. I'm going to have a super amazing blog and it's going to be awesome. And then we sit there and, we do the brain dump. Okay, how do I want to create this blog? I have all these subjects I want to talk about and what do I need to do it? A lot of times we don't have any sort of plan in place. So we just sit there and analysis paralysis. So when you're talking about something like making a blog, I want you to talk about is the systematic way to put this blog in place so that you can make it something that you do very regularly. Otherwise, it's not going to be a super amazing blog. It's just going to be a blog that sits there and gets no action and riddles your guilt forever. This could be anything. It doesn't have to be a blog. So I have these due dates. I have an ideal due date. I want to start a super amazing blog by this date, but realistically, it's probably going to take me 2 months longer than that. Give yourself a window. For the love of God, stop holding yourself to some sort of perfection that doesn't exist. So what do I need to do in order to create a blog? If I'm a brand new person in business and I want to create a blog and I have no idea what's going on, I'm probably going to need to do some research, probably going to have to choose a platform to host my blog. I'm going to have to set it up. I'll probably want to write 5 posts and I'm going to publish it. Those are my steps. Come on. Oh, come on. Okay. I had some good momentum going here. We're going to do all these things. And then I'm going to write down my resources. So whatever it is that you want to accomplish, maybe you want something with sales, maybe you've got something with marketing, maybe you've got, whatever it is that you want to do with your, maybe you want to exercise, start eating better, something. Write down some milestones. Well, then write down where you're going to go get this information. You're going to Google it, you're going to check on YouTube, and you have to develop some skills. What skills do you have to develop in order to reach your goal? Then go do the thing. Plan it out, and then do it. And to do it, I have this little handy sheet called Do the Thing. And so I'm going to take those milestones and put them in their appropriate little places. And I'm going to give myself some due dates and give myself some tasks. These are your toddlers. So here are all of the tasks that I think I want to accomplish by these due dates. When you start to write these things down and start to plan out things that you want to accomplish, your analysis paralysis and the fear that you have about making it work suddenly becomes something that you can manage. Because you know what? By the end of October, you can do a little bit of research and find out how many posts a week and what blogs your friends read. By a few days later, you could finalize your 3 choices of which platforms you want to look at and finalize which ones you choose. You can set it up in a few days, and you can get your blogs written in a couple of weeks. Like, all of these things don't take nearly as long as we think they're going to take us, but we put this expectation that this project is too big and we can't manage it. We can't manage all of these toddlers. But when you organize them a little bit, you just might find yourself connected a little bit more, and you're going to feel a lot professional. And you know what's the most amazing thing ever is checking those boxes off. So here's my suggestions for toddler management. Use your milestones to navigate through your goals, set due dates to keep you accountable, and checking things off of a list. It creates a sense of accomplishment and opens opportunity for the next step. It's also really fun to check things off of a list. So give yourself the opportunity to check things off a list. You're going to feel like a badass. And the more things you check off the list, the more things you're going to want to do, because you're going to feel like you're actually moving forward towards something. When you just get up every day and do without a plan or without any kind of a system in order to work on, then you just feel like you're chasing your tail. You don't have anywhere to go. You don't have anywhere to see where you've been or how much you've accomplished or what you've done or what you have left to do. And it's chaos. Next, you need to find your tribe. You've got to find some people. You have to find people. Donna, who's on here, said she's found an underground, I think she said, group of entrepreneurs that are moving her forward and making her feel like she's a part of something. Community is so important. And 5 years ago, Kendra would have given you a middle finger at the idea of community. A sleeper cell is what she said. Yes, sleeper cell of entrepreneurs. I thought that was cute. You've got to look for opportunities to identify your people, your tribe. It's going to be, sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes the George that we hold on to is that I just don't fit in. I just don't fit in with anybody. I'm an outcast and nobody really likes me, and I just feel like I just don't fit in. And nothing could be further from the truth. But you have to look for opportunity to fit in, to find your people. So there's opportunities in networking in real life, networking groups. If you're not getting out in your community, you're doing your community a disservice. Can I just say that again? If you're not getting out in your community, you are doing your community a disservice. They deserve to know who you are and what you have going on and what you have to offer them. And you deserve to see what your community has to offer you. A lot of people tell me that they don't have a very big community. I'm from a small town in Iowa. I can relate. So online groups are pretty amazing and important. But you can also find your tribe in books and podcasts, because you know what books and podcasts have? Online groups of people that like those books and podcasts. If you relate to a certain book or a podcast or a self-development book, there's probably a group out there for you that goes along with that. And finding mentors that can help you. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to be able to hold your hand the entire time. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to drag you along. But when you've got somebody that you trust, to ask questions, coach you through. It's going to help you develop the confidence that you need and fill in for the places that maybe you lack, because you're developing yourself as an expert. That doesn't mean you don't get to stand in those shoes. You stand in those shoes and you ask for people to help you. And whoops, I want to go back to that, family and friends. So listen, our family and friends, we often talk about being so important. And while they can be and are very important, it's also important to identify when they're not and when they're holding you back. Listen, our family and friends are usually the first people to tell us that we can't do something and that we shouldn't do something or that we're going to fail at something. And they don't do that because they're jerks. Well, maybe some of our family and friends are jerks. I mean, don't get me wrong, people are jerks. But most of the time, our family and friends are telling us things because they don't want to see us hurt. It's not because they want us to fail or because they don't want something for us. I mean, I'm sure that occurs occasionally, but mostly our family and friends are telling us that something isn't going to go right or that we shouldn't do something because they want to protect us. And it's important to recognize when that's happening. So we've talked a lot about vision and turning that into action. The simple act of writing something down helps us do the thing. And this is the piece that people miss so often. And it's like, myself included, that is actually the thing that creates momentum. So what people that are successful tend to do is they accomplish a goal and then they move on to the next goal and they don't spend any time celebrating. And what happens when you don't take a moment to celebrate the good things and to celebrate the things that matter and that count are that you get burned out. That's when burnout happens. And so celebrating 100% matters. Because social media is the modern saber-toothed tiger. So listen, one of the things that, our brains are still wired for, our brains are still wired to take care of us in a very archaic way. So, staying safe from saber-toothed tigers is really, really important. But social media can be that now. And social media can make us feel like we're lesser than all of the time. So if we don't take time to celebrate when things go right, we don't take time to celebrate the things that have gone right, what do we tend to focus on? We tend to focus on the things that have gone wrong. We tend to focus on things that, you set a goal. I set a goal for 5 new customers this month, and I got 3 new customers. Do you want to know what most people will focus on? The 2 that they didn't get instead of the 3 that they did. You've got to learn that celebrating the things that went right is super important. When you do celebrate things that are important, you confirm that we are in fact not failing every day at all. When we are comparing ourselves to other people and other people's highlight reel, we often feel like failures. We feel like we're not trying hard enough, we're not doing enough, we're not making enough money, we're not selling enough, we're not involved enough in our business or community or whatever. But when you take time every day, gratitude and success, the circle closes and it builds momentum. And when you celebrate the success, any success, it builds momentum into a stronger vision. And that circle keeps going around that I talked about at the beginning. And it rewires your brain. It's also fun. Life should be fun. We should try to have more fun. It's important. So gratitude, as I talked about a second ago, leading when you find gratitude in your wins, it leads to a stronger impact. So as you start your day with what you're grateful for. At the end of the day, you celebrate your wins. So in the morning, you write down 3 things that you're thankful for. At the end of the day, you write down 3 things that went right or that you were happy about. The impact of making those things your focus for the day, you already know how tremendous that can be, right? Come on. Oh, come on. I don't know why this keeps happening. So we're going to go through this one more time. Start your day with gratitude, end your day with wins, and watch that impact. It's really, and when you have there we go. When you have a stronger impact on your day, gratitude gets bigger. It gets a lot easier too. Focusing on gratitude at the beginning of the day isn't hard when you first get started. So let's talk a little bit about focusing on the positive. How will your life change? How would your life change if you recognized what you already have more and acknowledged what went right and realized the impact that you have on the world around you, instead of recognizing what you don't have, acknowledging what went wrong, and thinking that nobody notices you? If you could flip that conversation on its head, how would your life change? So one of the things that I like to do is keep a calendar of gratitudes and of wins. Literally every single day. Well, let me be honest, not every day. I try to start my day with gratitudes and end it with wins. Look for the blessings in disguise. This is really important because not all of our impacts are huge. Oh gosh, I can't remember what that heavy gear was. I was thankful for heavy gear for some reason the other day, or back in October, and now I can't remember what it was. Anyway, count the small stuff. Perception and mindset matter. Sometimes it's just a matter of being thankful that you have clean water to drink, or that you have shoes on your feet, or that your furnace is running. I know how grateful I am for that right now. But perception and mindset matter, and it is a choice. You have a choice to improve your mindset. And do it for 1 month for me and see what changes. So make a list of things that you're grateful for. These are, I just wrote down a few, like as if I was starting my month out. So what would I be? Well, that day was payday. I had a successful sale, and I wrote out my thank you notes. I think Rena wrote what was on Tuesday, and she wrote that she stood up when she was at a networking meeting, and she stood up and spoke when she was nervous to do so. She joined a blogging group, and something, I didn't go over the slide, so I apologize. But anyway, you get the idea. Writing down your gratitudes and then writing down your successes every day will make a huge impact on your life. My challenge to you is to do that this month, to get some sort of a calendar. It could be a crappy calendar, something cheap, print something up off the internet, and write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day, and write down 3 things that you want at that day, and see how that impacts your life. Yeah, so that's it. I want to thank you guys for joining me today and for being a part of this webinar. I have sincerely enjoyed the entire situation. Let me see if I can get my screen back here. New share? No. I don't know what I'm doing now. I don't know how to get this screen off. I hope, maybe. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I can't, just hold on. Is there, I hope I can figure out how to can I stop the share? No. It says no, I can't. Okay, well, we're just going to stop it like this then. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the comments. I'm going to quit trying to mess with this. I hope you learned a little something. I hope you guys feel like you can grasp onto confidence a little bit better. And I guess the thing that, I want you to know is that you're all capable. Whoever you are, we're all very capable of making a change in our life. And the only difference between the people that don't find success and confidence and the people that do are action. That's it. You've got to move forward, and you've got to do in order to make it happen. And you've got to focus so hard on your vision and get really honest with yourself. Is what I'm doing actually working me toward my vision, or is it keeping me small and moving me away on a different path? And sometimes we don't like the answer to that question. Sometimes the answer to that question is a little heartbreaking, but the quicker you make that choice, the easier it's going to be. And definitely think big picture is the other thing I would say. Like, sometimes we get really stuck in the little nuances of business and everyday life, and we get stuck in those little intrinsic things that are going to make a difference for today or tomorrow, but aren't going to really impact the big picture. We got to learn to let go of the things that don't. I mean, still got to pick your kids out from school and all those little nuances. Haven't figured that out, how to not do that yet, but you know. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. You're welcome to message me. That would be great. Okay, see you later. Now I got to figure out how to turn it off, you guys. I should do these more often, and then this wouldn't be so hard. No, that's not it. Stop. Oh, that's how you stop the sharing. How about that? It's just a button that says stop share. Oh, end meeting. Bye.